Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, we're back with the classic series ranking finishing badges in NBA 2K21 Next Gen in tiers F through S. So we're going to start from the bottom, go to the top. I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Let's try these 1 to 1K likes in the first 24 hours. And again, this has been a series that we've done for about 2 years. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the series. We're going to be doing this with finishing, shooting, playmaking, defense, probably multiple times over the course of the year as we learn more on the badges. In my opinion, updates as well. We will update you guys with that updated opinion. But anyway, right now, this is my 1 week in ranking of the finishing badges in NBA 2K21. So to start us off in the F tier, we got Dream Shake, Putback Boss, and Teardropper. Now, if you're new to the series and new to the channel, this F tier is typically always going to be badges that I would not recommend wasting a single badge point on, no matter what your build is. In other words, 100% ineffective badges. So we're going to go from left to right. We got Dream Shake coming in first, which is 100%, in my opinion, the most useless badge in the game. This is only ever going to be effective when it makes users fall for users' pump fakes, even without going for a shot contest or a jump. Now, it makes CPUs fall for users' pump fakes, whether it's the post fades or the shimmy fades, whatever it may be, and just don't go up with the actual post fade. That is how you pump fake a post fade, essentially. And then you can do an up and under out of it or something like that. But either way, first things first, post game is not very effective this year. It is in some sense, but not with the post fades and hooks. At least I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm 100% wrong. Again, this is only 1 week in of playing the game, but I do want to give you guys as much updates and as much information that I feel like I've assessed from playing the game and give it to you guys. But anyway, again, Dream Shake, never going to be useful until it makes users fall for users' pump fakes. Putback Boss. Now, there's a couple people who might ride or die with this badge because you guys love the putback dunks, or you're somebody who's going to press Y or triangle on PlayStation 5. So essentially just grabbing the rebound and then going back up with it instead of just tapping X and getting the putback dunk animation. Now, I'm here to tell you guys who press the Y button and go for the rebound and then hold X. There's a way better badge in this game that we're going to talk about. It's toward the top of this tier list right here, and we'll save that for later. But Putback Boss, I feel like, is way too specific when it comes to just the actual use that you get out of this badge, even if it were elite. But then on top of that, I feel like it's just not elite. I mean, when you grab a rebound, if somebody's right between you and the basket, all you're expecting is a contact dunk as far as a standing dunk goes. Because if you go up with a standing layup, obviously that dude's just gonna 100% smother that thing every time. That's how it's been for the last 2 years. That's how it is in this game as well. Even with my 25 interior defense, if people go back up on me like that, it's 100% smothered every time. Doesn't matter. So Putback Boss, like I said, F tier badge, very ineffective, 100% useless in my opinion. And then we got Teardropper. Now the sad thing about Teardropper is it used to be somewhat effective, at least for the outside point guards that still had finishing badges, even though 2K still never showed it any love. But now on top of that, man, there's no point in this badge at all. Everybody has contact dunks. Teardropper is the substitute for contact dunks for builds that don't have contacts. But like I said, everybody has contact dunks in this game. So there's literally no point in going up with floaters in this game. Like I said, it's literally the exact correlation. The only reason you would ever go up with a floater is to avoid contact if you can't just hammer it on their head. But everybody can. So Teardropper, 100% ineffective, not worth wasting any badge points on. So now for the E tier, we got Hook Specialist and Giant Slayer. We're going to start off with Giant Slayer. I want to talk about this badge directly because it is still most likely effective. It's just the fact that bigs are no longer a valid thing to be running in this game. If you're anything over 6'8", 6'9", honestly, it's already an L in my opinion. It's not going to be very effective, especially for 3v3. Even in 2v2, double ISO rules in this game where you're going to have two mobile players around 6'8", 6'7", just trading opportunities at getting contact dunks, shooting wide open threes, blowing right by your opponent, or the help drops down and then you kick it out to your teammate in the corner. Either way, you get the deal. Giant Slayer benefits off taller players being on the court. I don't ever see this badge pop up for myself, and honestly, I don't even think it has any effect because I'm 6'8", and there's nobody on the court ever that's going to be around 6'11", 7 foot, and if there is, then they're just a walking L because they're not going to have any mobility in guarding the three-point line when it comes to the ISO, and it's just a problem. Or when it comes to the pick and roll defense, whether it's the the lobs or the pick and pops, anything like that. Honestly, just height is very bad to have in this game, whether it's 2s, 3s, pro-am, whatever you're talking. Which leads us to Hook Specialist, which is obviously going to deal with the taller bigs. Now listen, this is the one badge on this list that I might be completely missing because I haven't played against too many post scorers that have been possibly effective at all. And like I said, for you to be an effective post scorer, obviously you have to be pretty tall when it comes to that stuff. And if you are pretty tall, you just take an automatic L when it comes to defense in this game because you're just going to get lost, man, when it comes to the ISO defense. And then on top of that, you think your height is going to protect you on the interior, and you're still going to get boomed on with 95 interior D, all right? That's just how it is. Maybe the game changes a little bit on as we go, but I gotta say, for now, post hooking and stuff like that, post scores, it seems pretty obsolete, pretty irrelevant in my opinion. And if you are going for the post scoring style, I would say what's more relevant right now seems to be drop stepping. Drop steps seem super effective, and I will say a lot of people talk about like the struggles of what you'll have with the low interior defense and how I like to think there's not many, but the one that I will admit to and will 100% let you guys know that's going to be a problem when it comes to having low interior defense is the fact that you get no post move lockdown, no Hall of Fame, gold, silver, bronze, whatever it may be, you get none. So that is one struggle that comes with low interior defense, which leads to things like drop stepping, post spins, stuff like that being more effective. So that's why we'll have a couple post scorer badges related when it comes to higher on this list. But for now in this E tier, hook specialist, not very effective as far as I've seen, but maybe I'm going to eat my words as we go along with this year. So in the D tier, we have Lob City Finisher, Highlight Film, and Pro Touch. Now I want to start with Highlight Film because for those who are still on current gen or remember current gen where we had Showtime, Showtime was an absolutely dominant badge when it came to the finishing category, to where you're going to boost your teammates' takeover like crazy. It was perfect for 3v3 in the situations where the other team's playing sides, they give up the slips, you go for an easy dunk, but you go with a flashy dunk, and you get crazy takeover for your teammate. That does not seem to be the case this year at all. I will say it still gives a slight takeover boost to you and your teammate, but it's nowhere near noticeable as far as like something that you'd want to run 4 Hall of Fame badges on, or at least 4 badge points if you will. But it is still a somewhat effective badge, so that's why it's in the D tier in that sense. Like, it's not as ineffective as Hook Specialist, Giant Slayer, Dream Shake, Putback Boss, Teardropper, so hence why it's a little bit higher than them. So then in the D tier as well, we have Lob City Finisher. I feel like alley-oops low-key still work even if you have this low. Now in previous years, I've always been somebody who runs this thing on Hall of Fame because I'm an inside big. I like to run the pick and roll, catch a lob, stuff like that. I like to curl them off for certain angles, give a good alley-oop opportunity to my teammate instead of throwing a regular pass, which usually leads to me getting blocked if it's too late. And the alley-oop allows you to get it there a little bit quicker and a lot less more opportunity of it getting blocked. Now, the reason that I don't feel like it's super effective this year, not only is the fact that you can still catch lobs without the badge, and it's always been like that to be honest with you, but on top of that, it's not very many contested lobs in this game anyway, because the meta is 100% dominated by ISO, whether it's someone sitting in the corner, someone sitting in the wing, and then someone else with the ball in their hand. Point is, pick and roll and alley-oop finishing seems to be pretty obsolete in this game, which is why this badge becomes that much less effective. The only thing you really need this badge for, in my opinion, is the contested lob catching, and honestly, probably the lob contact dunks. So this is strictly like an inside big badge in my opinion. If you're somebody who wants to spot up on the wing though, I do understand why you maybe want this on like bronze or silver, but anything higher than that, not really needed. So our final badge in the D tier is going to be Pro Touch. Now there's multiple reasons as to why I have this so low, but I'm going to start with the one most obvious one to me, but maybe not the most obvious to you guys. So in my opinion, this is what I'm doing at least, and I feel like a lot of people that I play with or a lot of people that I'm watching are going to turn off their shot timing when it comes to layups. Now, what that leads to is a bunch of NAs, and the NAs do not activate Pro Touch. So with that said, that's already knocking this badge down a little bit. On top of that, this game is dominated by dunking in so many ways to where I feel like layup anything equals a not very good shot opportunity because it's just going to be contested, and typically the contested layups are not going to go in no matter what. Now just like Hook Specialist, this may be one that I'm going to eat my words on as we go later in the game, to where there might be some slashers out there who go ahead and just leave their timing on and they're able to master that timing, or you have the post hook shots where Pro Touch actually activates on those as well, and obviously that makes this badge just shoot through the roof when it comes to the effectiveness of it. So stay tuned for that. Again, this is the 1 week in assessment of my opinions and stuff like that as well, and how I feel like the game's meta is going to develop. Now, it's entirely possible the meta could develop 100% opposite of the way I expect it to, where it's going to be double ISO, and then it ends up being where post scores are throwing up contested post hooks over the people that have the low interior defense. Now, the reason I don't expect that to happen personally is the fact that the rebounders and the people that are at the one when it comes to that toxic post hooking lineup essentially is where the rebounding discrepancy is nowhere near similar to where it used to be in 2K18, 19, 20, where you could have a pure lock at the one and just snag rebounds over the guard's head. The difference is guards in this game can have around 90 rebounding as well and crazy vertical as well. So really the gap between that is not very different when it comes to this year. I feel like the only way post scores are going to dominate is if it's like ISO post scoring, where you have somebody in the corner and then you have the post scorer just drop stepping his way into the paint, which again does not lead to post hooks, because if you're going to go one-on-one and throw up post hooks, you have no rebounder. You have nobody to snag your missed opportunities, and then just like that, it just misses straight up. Now, if it's 1v1 type stuff like that, again, where you're going to throw up the contested post hooks, there's nobody down there to grab your misses, and really it's just a lost cause. So the only way I see post scores being dominant on 2v2 court this year is with drop steps, post spins, isolation, stuff like that, not the contested paint cramming BS that we've seen in the past 2 years. So on that topic of post scoring, we got back down punisher, post spin technician, and acrobat coming in the C tier. So we'll start with the post badges because that's what we're already talking about. We'll keep this pretty simple because we've already talked to some extent about the isolation post scoring. So just keep that in mind. We got post spin technician, isolation post scoring badge. Back down punisher, again, isolation post scoring badge. We'll almost be done with this. We got drop stepper somewhere along the lines right here as well. We won't give away where it's at on the list. But anyway, the point is, isolation post scoring going to be way more dominant this year than it ever has been, at least in comparison to the last 2 games we've been on. So 2K21 current gen and then all the way through 2K20. Isolation post scoring pretty useless because why not just throw a pure lockdown in the paint and just have him snag rebounds? Not the case this year. There's no such thing as a pure lockdown. There's like literally no difference between outside 6'7" point guard essentially having max rebounding versus a pure lock, quote unquote, having 30 defensive badges. That's literally the only difference is the badge count. Anyway, whole point is isolation post scoring way more dominant this year than it has been in the last 2 years, and then post hooking not as effective. So then we got acrobat. I feel like the reason this badge takes a little bit of a hit in comparison to last year, where I'd probably have this around the B tier as a somewhat effective badge, is A, the reason of how contact dunks just rule this game, B, how hop dunking becomes that much less effective in this game as well, and it feels very ineffective. And then on top of that, there's no sense in getting fancy with the euros and stuff like that and the cradles and whatnot, because flat out, why not just contact dunk on people's head? That's pretty much how it is. So the only reason I say this badge is effective is for the people who decided not to upgrade their three-pointer. I feel like euros and stuff like that can be somewhat effective if you become predictable to where people can just sit paint on you and kind of have the right angles to where you need to hop around them a little bit or go for the hop dunks, etc., stuff like that. This is only related to the actual slashers out there. I feel like for any point guard who has good shooting to run this badge is somewhat ineffective, but the effectiveness of the badge for those who don't have their shooting upgraded is actually very important. So I have it in the C tier. You could make the argument that this belongs in the D tier because honestly the effectiveness of this probably doesn't compare to post spin technician and back down punisher. I just feel like this is a better badge than these right here. So pretty much just say this is somewhere right in between D and C tier. It's right above all these badges and right below these ones in my opinion. And let me know your opinion as well. We made it this far through the video. If you have any feedback, feel free to let me know. Tell me if I got anything wrong to this point because honestly, like I said, early in the year, it is what it is. Something could definitely be wrong in your guys' opinion and I want to hear it. So in the B tier, we have fearless finisher and drop stepper. So again, no need to talk about drop stepper. We've already talked about it plenty to where isolation post scoring is just going to rule when it comes to the actual post scores and that post hooking becomes less effective. Blah, blah, blah. I've already said it like 5 times. So as for fearless finisher, this right here to me feels like relentless finisher, but with a twist where it's actually going to help you on layups and stop you from getting blocked, stop you from losing stamina when you go up with the shots and stuff like that. Now, I could be completely wrong about this badge, but in my experience of having it, that's how I feel like it works. Helps me with the stamina just like relentless always used to, and helps you finish through contact while still being low on stamina. And then on top of that, obviously it helps you with the layups as well. So it is what it is. Fearless finisher, I feel like is a pretty solid badge. It's very all around and it fits the meta, and that's why we have it high in this tier list because again, isolation where you're just going to be dunking on people or shooting the wide open threes, it pretty much is what it is. This is going to help you in a lot of ways when it comes to that. Now this is where things are going to start really getting interesting. So we got the A tier, we got Slithery finisher and rise up. In my opinion, these 4 badges that are in the A and S tier are by far the 4 best badges in the game when it comes to the finishing. I feel like anything below this honestly feels pretty ineffective entirely, but it fits a very specific mold, if you will, to where post scores, slashers, etc., stuff like that. Like all 3 of these are just post badges in general. These 2 right here, strict slasher badges, but this still fits the meta pretty well, so that's why it's high on the list. Anyway, to get into Slithery finisher, obviously this fits the meta 100% to where this is just going to help you glide through people when it comes to the contact dunking and stuff like that. People in the past have talked about how Slithery finisher literally decreases the contact dunks you get. That's insane. That's crazy talk. And they said it all the way back in the beginning of 2K20 when I got the badge myself and really decided to detail it. I feel like I low-key blew this badge up a little bit too when it comes to the YouTube scene and kind of put people onto it early in the year. But anyway, Slithery finisher, obviously, we all know what it does. Like, you literally are just going to get better dunk animations, whether it's non-contact dunks, contact dunks, glides you into contact dunks that much better, and avoids the contact of getting blocked. It is what it is. Now, Rise Up is one of the new finishing badges that, in my opinion, is mad slept on. So, This right here fits my style entirely because I have good standing dunk. Now, maybe a lot of people will disagree because they decided to not upgrade their standing dunk, whether they're a point guard. If you're a power forward and you upgraded your standing dunk, you're gonna love this badge. I promise you. Like, this is insane. And how it actually fits the ISO meta really well as well is if you get past somebody and they jump for you on a chase down block, and then you go ahead and just make them jump and you don't actually go up with it, rise up, essentially for anybody who doesn't know, is going to increase your tendency to get standing dunks. This right here is massive for the pick and rollers, the ISO players, or just the people like catching the ball and trying to go up with dunks on the cuts and stuff like that. It fits all types of different molds, and it's a very good badge, like super effective. It helps you get standing dunks so much more. I love this thing. So our final two badges, we got Heatseeker and Posterizer coming in the S tier. So we all know what Posterizer is good for. Dominates the game. Probably one of the best badges in the game in general. I would say top 3, top 4 badge in the game. Honestly, definitely the best in its category as far as the finishing goes. And then Heatseeker is super new, I would say, and fresh. Maybe not slept on because a lot of you guys might know about this, but I'm just going to go ahead and call it slept on because flat out, this badge just helps a ton. It's pretty much the hot shot of finishing where you're going to get takeover boost for dunks. If you have slash or takeover, this is going to light it up super quickly. Like all you need is 3 dunks and just like that, you have slash take on just like that. And the best part about this too, if we compare it to current gen Showtime, Showtime only activated on flashy dunks. It didn't even work on contact dunks or regular standing dunks or just regular non-flashy dunks. Heatseeker right here works for every single dunk, every single layup, just straight up inside shots. Now, this is going to work for contact dunks, regular layups, like I just said. Super effective, super helpful, boost your takeover like crazy. And even if you're somebody who doesn't have slash or takeover, this is still going to help you in that sense as well. Just like that, now you can go ahead and just like, if you have Heatseeker and Hot Shot combined, and you're out here shooting threes, dunking on people, ISOing and stuff like that, it's going to be a tough scene, man, and especially if you have an effective takeover in your first slot or even the second slot, or you build all this up and you get team takeover in like literally 3 or 4 shots total, whether it's like maybe 1 or 2 jump shots and 2 dunks. But anyway, that's all for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on them noties, all that good stuff. Let's try this video to 1,000 likes in the first 24 hours. And if you made it to the end of the video, put finishing in the comments to show your support me all the way through. Feel free to let me know if you disagree with anything on the list, if you don't agree with the S tier in particular or the F tier, or if you just disagree on a particular badge in general, think I missed something. Again, I'm all for the feedback as long as y'all are for mine as well. So, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And on that, take it easy, man. Peace.